This is the plaintiff, Kim Crisp. She says she and the defendant agreed to share the cost of a fence on some property they shared. And after the job was started, she changed her mind and now refuses to pay her fair share. She would not have gone through with building the fence without the defendant agreeing to pay half, and is suing for the $1,447 she's owed. This is the defendant, Olga Moniz. She says she agreed to split the cost if it was a friendly neighbor fence like the fence before it. A friendly neighbor fence means both sides are the nice side, but the plaintiff built the fence so the nice side was on her side. And she's not paying for an ugly fence on her side because that wasn't the agreement. She's accused of refusing to get fenced in.
All parties, please use your right hand. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is presiding. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Litigants have been sworn.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Crisp, you are suing your neighbor, Ms. Moniz, for $1,447, her half of a replacement fence that you say she has an obligation to pay because she agreed to pay it. Tell me about it.
So back in, March, we had a repair guy come out with my sister-in-law to a house that me and my brother own in Britain. Olga is the neighbor that lives behind the house. The fence was falling down, leaning. The house was built in '85, so quite some time ago.
Okay, so what am I looking at here?
So that is pictures from my backyard or my dad's. My brother and I own the house. So this is from our backyard, the cement, that is Olga's house, so that's all.
Okay, so is this a picture once the fence was already torn down?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Do you have
Yes.
pictures of the actual fence?
No, I don't think there was of the fence actually there in place.
Okay,
These
so.
were when he was taking it down.
All right. So you folks inherit the house, and then you talk to her about what? Because it's right on the property line, the fence?
Yes.
Okay.
So I contacted her because it was falling down. So I said, hey, we're getting a fence bid. Are you willing to go halves? I sent her, she asked for a estimate, sent the estimate through a text message because that's what she requested. I asked if she wanted me to email or text. She said text. I sent her the text. And I believe on May 24th, I asked her, I checked in with her, hey, how did it look? She goes, great, looks way better than the $6,000 quote I got before.
Okay. So she agrees to pay half, and then the fence goes up, and what happens?
And then all of a sudden she says, I'm not paying.
Did she tell you why?
She said, this is not a good friendly fence.
And what does that mean? Okay, let's ask her. Go ahead.
Hello. Neighbor-friendly fence. I've been in the home since 2000, and the fence was actually replaced about 2003. When that fence was put up, it was put up as a friendly neighbor, which means every panel is switched. So you have one flat side on your property, the next panel is flipped over so that neighbor has a flat side, and so
On there, so it's alternating?
it's alternating.
So that both sides have an ugly fence?
Both
Like I'm
sides.
kind of.
We 50-50 with the aesthetics of a fence.
Right.
And the prior owner, I don't believe it was her father, decided that they wanted the aesthetic to be completely flat on their side.
Well, sure.
And sure. So my husband and I had said, you can do that, but we are not paying a 50% cost. So what they did is they added additional boards so that their property showed a completely flat side, but they didn't add any extra post. So that fence has been leaning since it was actually put in. So for the past 20 years or so, my husband, you could see some of the trees, he would actually pull the fence back because it wasn't ugly, it was just leaning. So he would pull it up and he would anchor it so that it would, because we both have dogs that would push it.
Right.
So he would anchor it.
Anchor it to what?
To our trees that
Okay.
I have a little lemon tree and I have some bushes that I put in.
Okay.
So he would anchor it. My husband passed away in September of 2020.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. So I was not able to maintain that.
Right.
So I, at the time, spoke to the residents, whom I thought was the owner, and I said, are you interested? And this was probably spring of 2021. I said, I can't maintain it. Would you like to replace it? she told me at the time she didn't own the home. Her husband owned the home. He passed away, but she was able to live there. Her stepchildren allowed her to live there as long as she maintained it, and she couldn't afford it. I spoke with her son, and I said, if you could anchor it, I'm fine with it. Then I do receive a message from Kim, or actually it was not Kim, it was her sister-in-law that was actually at the property getting fence quotes.
Okay.
I leaned over the fence because I heard them speaking, and I said, could you send me the quote from the actual contractor? I don't hear back. I probably may. Like Kim said, she sent me a text message. Your share would be $1,400.
But no actual quote?
No, it was just her quote texting
Right, when you
me.
say, okay, so you say, well, she asked for it by text, right, so send the quote by text, not your words by text. Did you send the quote by text?
I did.
On what day did you send the quote by text?
I sent that to her.
Not the invoice from a contractor, though. It was her texting.
Because it's a handyman.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like,
Correct.
she wants something from the third party
And
who's
that was
doing the
on
fence.
May 19th.
What did you send on May 19th?
A text exactly from Jeff, the fence guy, to her.
Like you forwarded his words to her?
Exactly.
And what day is that?
May 19th.
I have a date of February 27th. What's that?
That is a Jeff text from Jeff to my sister-in-law. Then my sister-in-law sent me what Jeff sent her. So Jeff is the guy that
Is
did
it the same
fence.
language that you send to her?
Yes.
All right, so then what happens, though? The fence goes up, and they decide to put all the nice part on their side?
Yeah, so the fence initially, we both have a pool, so our pools are kind of right direct from each other. I do have bushes because people on that side like to skinny dip, and I had young children, so I did plant bushes there.
Who on that side liked to skinny dip?
I believe it was her father.
Okay, well, good for him.
At the time, my children I had young children, so
You never know.
you never know. So I had trampolines. I said, I'm going to put some bushes
Yeah,
in.
that's why the kids wanted the trampolines. That's what you don't understand.
You know, being the mom. So Jeff came, and he removed the old fence first.
Jeff is the fence guy,
Is the
right?
fence
Okay.
guy.
Correct.
When he started to put in the fence, I work all day, single mom, I work all day. I came home from work, the fence was down. Okay, project's getting started. The next day, he puts the first and second board in, and this is where there are no bushes. It is where my pool pump is and a small rose bush. And he puts two sides, flat side facing her. I contacted her and I said, hold on, this is not what I agreed to. We have an issue. I agreed to a friendly neighbor fence. She says to me, what is a friendly neighbor fence? And I said, have you owned property before?
Listen, but quite frankly, you could own property and not know what a friendly neighbor fence is.
Correct.
I've owned property my entire life. I didn't know what a friendly neighbor fence was. So you're a little snooty about that with her. Have you ever owned property?
I did get a little snooty.
So you say, have you ever owned property? And then
Right.
what?
And I said, I want, because I want a neighbor-friendly fence. I
Right.
want
And
it
then at
as
this point,
it
how
was.
much of the fence was up?
2 panels.
And that's it?
That's it.
And then what did she say to you?
She didn't know what a neighbor front. She wasn't familiar with
Right, so you
it.
tell her, and then what does she say?
Nothing really. They continued with the work, and I
Wait,
asked
what
her.
does she say? No way. You have bushes, I don't. What does she say?
She did say that according to Jeff, that my bushes were in the way.
Well, then get the bushes out of the way if you want to.
Well, and
trim them.
that's what I said. I said, however, I said the fence before that was existing.
Yeah, I know. And now your problem is that according to you, she tells you this when the project's
After.
almost done.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So we would have told Jeff, hey, what's going on? Jeff responded, I let them know when when my sister-in-law and Jeff was over there that there needed to be clearance. He needed 2.5 feet clearance.
I'm sorry, hold on. Did Jeff ever tell you?
No, ma'am.
All right, you're going to need Jeff to testify.
Okay.
Call your next witness.
Okay.
Right. Because
I have text, but.
from
yeah.
Jeff. No, I saw the text from Jeff.
Yeah.
What it says is, I couldn't do it that way because I needed clearance. It doesn't say, I told that lady
Right.
she needed to clean up.
Correct.
And she didn't, so what do you want me to do? That's not what it says.
Right.
So I think that what happened is you wanted the nice fence on your side, because who wouldn't? And then, then it turned out that it did matter. And there's no dispute, is there, that the fence that you were replacing was alternating, right? Right. So you say, well, if she had conditions to paying her half, she should have stated them from the beginning. And she says, if you weren't going to replace exactly what was there, you should have said something at the beginning. right? So where are we? At some point, she says, it's not fair to ask me to pay 50%. I'm not going to pay 50%. Let's negotiate. And you guys then do. And they text you and say, how about 1,000? And what was your response to that?
She said my brother said he will drop it to 1,000.
Okay.
At this point, I felt that there were too many sister-in-law, brother. I wanted to speak directly to both owners. I've never, this is my first time seeing her. I've never met them.
Mm-hmm. Do you live in the property or?
I live in the property,
you do?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, so I live
Do
in
you
my
live
property.
in the property?
I do not.
No, okay.
And I did give the residents my information, my phone number. I said, could you please have them reach out to me? That's how they initially reached out to me. And I spoke to the sister-in-law. I said, if the brother is making these decisions, I would like to speak to the brother. And then she started to throw in, well, texts are legally binding. And I said, at that point, we'll take it to court because...
Yeah, but why? Like, she's kind of right. I mean, it is...
I agree.
It's smart of her not to have to go to court and swear to what people said as opposed to just show. So she's right to want to put it in text. You just don't say what you said. Like, you don't tell the other side, I'm going to get ya. Like, you just keep your mouth shut and you say, I just want to make sure that we're all clear. How about the three of us text together so we're all on the same page? That's all y'all got to do.
She never asked for my brother's
Okay, so let's say that your brother, let's say that whatever, that you had said, well, I want to speak to whoever's making the decision. Let's say it's the brother. Let's say that. And then let's say that the brother texts you. What would you then discuss with them?
I would probably discuss, because I agreed to a contractor. I didn't agree to a side job. I wasn't informed it was a side job.
I don't know what that means. You tell me what that means.
Well, when people are working on my property, there's a certain liability. And when it is a side job, I then become liable if that person is injured.
Okay.
And without there being, contractors are usually licensed and insured.
Okay, and that's lovely, everything you just said. I'm not sure it's 100% accurate. But if you wanted a licensed contractor, did you ever say that? Because the truth of the matter is, you and I both know that not everyone we hire is licensed.
Oh, correct, on certain items.
Right, because some stuff just, it's not rocket science. Right. So it would be, just like I told her, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Welcome back to the People's Court. I'm Harvey Levin. The plaintiff says that the defendant agreed to split the cost of a privacy fence and then reneged on the deal. But the defendant claims her neighbor put up the ugly side of the fence on her side, and that's not fair. Let's go back into the courtroom.
Just like I told her, well, if you're going to change what's there, it's up to you to have to say something. So if you're going to insist on a certain type of tradesman, then that is up to you to say, well, I need something in writing, not just his text to you. I want to see it, and I want to see their license number, and I want all that happen later because now she's aggravating you at that point. Okay? That's really what happened, is that you don't like her tone. Because not only did she not do what was already there, then she's got a little bit of an attitude about it. Right? Because her texts to you aren't, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Her texts are, you are legally liable to pay for half because you said, it's all in the details, people. Mm-hmm. We didn't need to be here. It's all in the details.
It is.
And I have always said, and I agree, that things are, oftentimes you amp it up in text because you read them with the tone you want to read them. And so I tell my children all the time, it's so much better to speak in person. Except I tell my litigants all the time, make sure you've got it in writing. Yeah. So I get that, but at some point you could balance those two by having a phone call and then following up with a text, and then you've got it in writing. But it decayed to a place it just didn't have. I mean, I'm happy to see y'all. I got to be here anyway. But it just decayed to this nonsensical place. I agree with her. I also, what's wrong with the $1,000 offer? Do you not think that's fair?
Honestly, no. I felt I didn't want to rush and say yes.
No, I get it. I'm asking you now. You and I are just talking now.
Right.
See, here's the thing. If you had zero obligation to pay for the fence, if the fence was on her side, and you were just helping out and creating an obligation for yourself, and then they did what they did, which is to make it nice for them and crappy for you, which is not what was there before, I'd say the fence is on you. But you do have a legal obligation to contribute to the fence. Right. And you guys know that, right? And where you are, you have a legal obligation when the fence is on the property line to both of you to be responsible. And then what the law says is, well, who's benefiting more? Like there's things that you a judge, the things you'd expect a
Right.
judge to balance, like the nice side is on their side.
And honestly, I've maintained that fence since it was put in.
That's irrelevant.
Okay.
That's
Just wanted
irrelevant.
to say that I had did that. And honestly, they sent me a demand letter before I really even had time to think about that $1,000, and it was for the full amount.
That's incorrect.
When was the demand letter sent?
June 17th.
When was the text sent offering $1,000?
That would be June 16th.
Okay, so she said you sent it right away, and the answer is you sent it within 25. Look at me. Right.
Had to send that letter because of the small claims. I had to do actions for
Yeah,
that.
but no, you can wait a second, take a breath. I mean, yes, you have to do that, but you didn't have to do that the next day after you had just met. See, this is the anatomy of a lawsuit. This is how we find ourselves here. And you don't live there now, but what if you live there someday and she's your neighbor? Or it's really nice to have a good relationship when you own property. Mm-hmm. It's really nice to have a good relationship with the adjoining property because other things will come up. So it's just so silly, ladies, that we ended up in this position over what? Over really, I think she probably would have given the $1,000, but it's just, if you offer $1,000 in the tone that you did, like my brother said this, and she says, well, you know what, and then you get a demand letter for the $1,400, she's like, you know what, let's do it in court. That's how you want to play, let's do it in court, right? No,
she's the one that said, talk to her attorney.
She did because all right, now I wasn't going to do it, but now I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to your messages and we're going to do a dramatic reading of it. Sometimes my children and I, when I say, look at the way this person talked to me, they'll go, Mom, stop. You just read it this way. I'm going to read it this way. Now I'm going to read it. I don't know how you meant it. I'm going to read it like she felt it. So hold on one second. June 16th. Okay, we have a problem. A friendly neighbor fence swaps flat sides. That is not how it was installed. Therefore, I will not be paying anything towards the fence. Oh, well, that's a little off-putting as well. Hello, per our previous text messages discussing the split payment agreement, there was never expression from you that you would be agreeing to, both of you are pretty guilty, actually, only the flat fence I were alternated. Since the agreement was put in place without this guideline, you will need to proceed with splitting the payment as previously discussed. The reason they are not alternating side is because of the clearance. Due to your vegetation, that is not possible. If my vegetation was an issue, why is a side with no vegetation not flipped? She's right about that. I will not pay 50%. I asked your sister-in-law in written quotes and was never received. Is Jeff even a professional company or a side job? Because now she's angry. Any decisions made should have included me and not be made by Jeff. Can I ask, are you a first-time owner? Okay, that's off-putting. Look it up. In the meantime, contact your brother and give a smaller percentage because I will not be paying 50%. I asked SIL for a copy of the sister-in-law and only received a text. Either renegotiate or speak to my attorney. Is he licensed? You brought a worker on my property that is not insured. I didn't agree to that. You agreed to pay half without even knowing the guy, without even seeing a written quote, without even asking for a license. But now, because you're angry, after speaking with my brother again, we have agreed to drop your repair cost to $1,000. That happens on June 16th. But then you received the demand letter what day?
I believe it was June 24th.
Okay.
My daughter got the mail. Yeah.
She sends it the 17th, but you sent it how?
Regular mail.
Regular mail.
Yes.
So you get it. So from June 16th to June 24th, there's quite a few days. There's 8 days. So how do you mean that you didn't have a chance to fully absorb the $1,000? That wasn't like a rush. It's like 8 days passed. I realize she jumped the gun and she mailed it that day, but she didn't walk it over that day. You don't know about it till the 24th. That's 8 days later, right? Yeah. I think $1,000 is reasonable. Don't you? I think it is.
I do feel, that I do owe a responsibility towards the
But
fence.
I agree with you 100% that you don't know half.
I just don't feel I owe 50%.
I agree. I'm going to order you to contribute to the fence in the amount of $1,000. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
Maybe next time we won't worry so much about what a good neighbor fence is, and we worry a little more about what a good neighbor is, right?
Right.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff prevails, but she does not get the full $1,447 she wanted. She only gets the $1,000. Ms. Moniz, you did not prevail, obviously. You could have settled this, before you came to court because they asked you for $1,000. You wouldn't even pay that. Now the judge says you do have to pay the $1,000. What are you thinking?
I think it's fair. I'm happy with the decision. As an owner, I feel I do have some responsibility. So I just wanted it to be decided by the court.
So the point is, you could have settled this before coming to court, but now you have done it in court, and you seem happy about it. That's pretty surprising.
I'm just happy that it's over. I don't have any hard feelings towards anybody. I just like to get it settled and move on.
Okay, well, it is settled now.
Yeah.
And even though they're not next door, you can live with the fence. You think you'd be all right with it?
Oh,
it may
yeah,
not
I'd be fine.
family friendly.
Yeah.
It will be fine. Mm-hmm. That's a totally different tune. You've changed your tune dramatically.
Yeah, I could be mellow.
Good for you. All right, thank you very much.
Thank
the
you.
exit is on your left, all right? Thank you so much. Ms. Crisp, you're going to get the $1,000 finally. What are you thinking now?
I just wanted what she agreed to. So I get that it wasn't alternating, but I didn't feel like we should have to pay 100% of the cost. So I'm happy.
So it was worth filing the lawsuit in your mind. She wasn't going to pay you until you filed the lawsuit, right?
Correct. I mean, I wish she would have just responded to the text. We wouldn't have been here, but I guess she wanted to be on TV.
Was it worth it?
Sure. Yeah. Got my money, so I'm good.
All right. All right, very good, very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy your fence, okay?
Thank you. Will do.
You're very welcome. All right, Harvey.
Okay, Doug. So this is a case where you have a fence on the property line, and generally, if there is already a fence there, both sides have to maintain it. If there isn't a fence there, you have to negotiate on whether to put one up, unless it's legally required, in which case both sides have to do it. As for who gets the ugly side, there's a solution to that. Paint.
This is the plaintiff, Balin Bautista. She says the defendant made a wide turn one day and crashed into her fence, and she refuses to pay for the fence repairs she now needs. She tried to work it out with the lady before contacting the cops, but she got nowhere. She has pictures of the entire incident on her security cameras. This is an open and shut case, and she's here seeking the $601.78 she is rightfully owed. This is the defendant, Jamira Johnson. She admits tapping the plaintiff's fence with her car. She knocked on her door to let her know, and the crazy woman immediately called the cops on her, like she was some sort of criminal. She tried to fix the fence, which made this woman even angrier. She's tried making her happy, but can't, so here they are. She's accused of swinging too wide.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says the defendant made a wide turn, smashed into her fence, and won't pay. But the defendant says she tapped the fence, and the plaintiff called the cops on her like she was a criminal. It's a case of please fence me in.
Belen Bautista. I love the name Belen. I have always loved that name.
Thank you.
You're suing Jamira Johnson for $601.78 to repair your fence. What happened?
I was at work and I got called by my brother-in-law saying that my neighbor had hit my fence. So I left work and I drove over and I did notice that the fence was damaged. So we went over to my neighbor's house and Miss Johnson was out there. And
Why did you go over to the neighbor's house?
why? Because that's where they live.
No, but how did you know it had anything to do with your neighbor? How did you know it wasn't just a car passing by?
No, because my brother-in-law called me, and he was the one who told me that my fence got hit by my neighbors.
Okay, so he saw it happen, so he knew it was someone who was at the neighbor's house? You're not the neighbor, right?
Well, I stayed with the neighbors.
Okay, so did he see it? How does he know?
When he heard the crash, he came outdoor and at that point, I mean, I wasn't there, so I know he took.
Did someone come out when you crashed?
I don't know if he seen me do it. I actually walked to him myself and told him that I hit the pole fence.
You walked to him where? Where was he when you walked to him?
At first, I didn't see him. When I got the car, he just appeared in the.
So you drove to your. Was this your boyfriend who lived there?
Yes.
Okay, so you drove. How much longer are you in the car in order to park at your boyfriend's?
All right, so I was trying to park. See where we live at is like alleyway. You get to like the driveway. I was trying to pull into the driveway, which is like about 3 or 4 feet. But once I hit the pole, I had got out the car and tried to notify him that I did hit the pole.
How did you try to notify him? Did you knock on someone's door to notify them, or he was
No,
already
he
walking
came-
out?
yeah, he
so
was
you got
already
caught
outside.
red-handed. Like, I'm trying to figure out which one it is.
I think I got caught red-handed.
Okay. So how you just misjudged? Were you when you were turning, or how did you hit it?
Basically, I'm still like a beginner driver. You understand?
Everybody gangway.
I had
Ooh, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I had tried to turn into the alleyway and I had slanted the pole. Made a mistake and hit it.
Sure did. Okay. Did you get any estimates for the repair?
I did, ma'am.
Okay. Can I see the estimates?
Yes.
Now, has she ever given you an estimate and said, I need you to pay this?
I never actually heard an estimate myself. She actually told my boyfriend mother that I believe it was $350 at first. Matter of fact, the first day that it did happen, and they did get the cops involved and everything. Her boyfriend said that it should be about like $60. It just was different prices.
How is nobody knows what it is until you know what it is, until you get an estimate. Did you get an estimate to get it fixed? Well, what do you think it should cost to get fixed? What's your defense? Tell me what your defense is. Because we know there's two parts to every lawsuit. One is liability, and the other is damages. Liability, you have confessed to. You say, hey, I'm sorry, I was a new driver and I misjudged it. So that part's over. The next question is then, what do you owe? So she's saying it's $600. Why is it not?
So can the defendant dictate where the plaintiff gets the fence fixed?
No, I don't think so.
Why?
Oh, because it's like you have to dictate the quality, and I don't think they have the ability to do that.
Okay, we will find out going inside the courtroom.
I was on Google looking up the poles and stuff, and it was like $27.
For a pole?
Yes.
And then what? And then the fence fairy comes and goes, prang, and the pole comes in?
I'm saying, though, the pole is, I don't know, Your Honor. Honestly, this is my first time.
Yeah?
No, this is my first time actually going through something like this without, like.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Oh, you're just a baby. How come nobody here you don't have a friend that could, where's your boyfriend? Let's start with him. Oh, okay. Sorry, dude, I was just gonna rake you over the coals. Okay, well, at least, you just seem so inexperienced and alone in this world, and but at least he's here.
I am, Your Honor.
All right.
Yes.
Here's a big fat surprise I find in your favor in the amount of the $601.78. Pay the lady. Good luck, folks.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, hold it right there, please.
Well, no doubt about the outcome of this case. You're smiling. You just got a bill for $601, you know? You're speechless.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are you learning how to drive any better now?
Yep. I'm satisfied and.
You're satisfied?
Yep. Because if her fence get fixed, then that's all that matters.
Okay. Well, very good. All right. I hope you don't run into any more fences
Me
anytime
either,
soon.
because
Okay.
next time I ain't coming.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a nice
That's where the door is. Miss Batista. Okay. You're going to get your fence fixed now.
Thank God.
Okay. That's a shame this happened.
Well, it is. I mean, we all make mistakes. We're human beings. But in any case, we gave her the chance to just first fix it and not to come, up to this point.
Yeah.
And she didn't follow through, and that's why we're here.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Harvey?
Okay, the plaintiff always has the right to choose where he or she decides to get something fixed if the defendant caused the damage. The only limitation is the damages, the cost of repair has to be reasonable.
This is the plaintiff, Kimmy Jo Robinson Russell. She claims she was forced to put up a fence because her creepy neighbor, the defendant, would take pictures of her kids in their bathing suits. He would also spray them with a hose, and due to his outrageous behavior, he should be forced to pay her half the cost of the privacy fence in the amount of $5,000. That's what she's suing him for. This is the defendant, Charles Hadley. He says everything was fine with his neighbor until she got 2 cats that weren't fixed. And now there are cats all over the place and he's highly allergic. The cats come into his yard and have even snuck into his house. He didn't take pictures of the plaintiff's overweight, lethargic kids in their swimsuits. He was taking pictures of the raw sewage leaking into his yard, so he had proof for the authorities. Oh, or for a fence she chose to erect. No way. He's accused of being a nasty neighbor.
All parties, please raise your right hand. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Russell, you are suing your neighbor, Mr. Hadley, for $5,000, half the cost of a fence that you put up that you say you wouldn't have had to put up if it weren't for how creepy he is. Okay, tell me what's going on.
Okay, I've lived in my home for 20 years. And Mr. Hadley, I believe, moved there after my neighbor passed away maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Our initial interaction was him telling me that he don't deal with his neighbors, and he's going to put up a 6-foot brick fence in the front and an 8-foot brick fence in the back. And I was like, okay, well, he's not going to be friendly, so I'm not going to deal with that. Maybe a month or two later, he calls me and he's like, hey, I seen a white girl in your backyard, coming out of your backyard. I took a picture. And I said, why are you taking pictures over here? You know what I'm saying? Then he said, are these your cats? And most of the cats in the neighborhood are like neighborhood
Cats?
Cats.
Okay.
Or neighborhood cats. And the next thing I know, he was telling me, hey, I got a picture of your cats having sex. They're going to have more cats around here. You need to get them fixed. Then the next thing, cats were ending up dead. And he was putting them on my porch. Hey, this cat is dead, and put it on my porch. And I'm like, this guy is really creepy. My grandkids come over my house all the time. And they're in the yard playing. He wants to water his trees as soon as they come there. He wants to water his trees, not down at the roots, but at the top. So he's wetting the kids in the yard, and they're telling me, he's wetting us. I said, can you please stop wetting us? He said that he could do what he wants to. He owns his property, and pretty much kind of belittling me because I'm a renter. He owns his property. And then it just kept increasing. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put a fence up to keep him from over here. He's constantly taking pictures. His whole phone should be full of pictures.
What is he taking pictures of?
The kids in the yard, when they're in their swimsuits, all the time. He's just taking pictures of everything.
Okay, I'm imagining that maybe there are words being said back and forth as well. Was there a problem between you two regarding something on your property?
He had a problem with the septic tank over flooding in my backyard. He did have I had a problem with that, okay?
Right.
But what the problem was, we doing COVID, in the backlash of COVID, and the people that come out to service it, they would pump the thing. They thought that's all they needed was to be pumped. So they did that a couple of times, and then they said, oh no, the lines is messed up. So now we gotta wait for the city to come out to inspect, to reroute the lines in the backyard. So it was a waiting process for that situation to be going on.
He filed a complaint against you for that, right?
Yes.
Okay, with who? With the city?
Yes. Which actually helped me out because they got out there quicker. He was ignoring them, annoying them so much that they said, hey, let's hurry up and get out of here and get this done. So it helped me a whole lot. Thank you.
Okay. After he files the complaint, though, you file against him in court, and you file a restraining order because you feel he is harassing you by taking pictures all the time of your place and your people.
No, what made me actually file for a restraining order, the fence that I put up is only like not even half of the yard. So it was still a lot still open. And so the owner said, well, we'll put trees up and that'll make some privacy there. So the guys came out to put the trees down, and he came out with a pole and he told the guys that they can't put no trees on the property. that I'm on. You can't put no trees right here. And he was being very hostile with his pole.
What was his premise, that was his property where they're putting the trees?
No, his promise was that once the trees grow up, he would have to deal with it on his side. That was his problem.
Okay. All right. So what happened? Were the trees planted?
No. After that happened, the guys that was planting the trees called the owner, and he told them that the man was harassing him with the pole and everything. So he said, no, we're going to put wood from that part.
And so was wood put up?
Yeah, for a little part, a little bit more.
Okay. Who paid for that wood?
The owner.
But the owner didn't pay for the privacy fence that you put up?
No.
All right. So you asked the owner for permission, you put up a privacy fence. How's it gone since then?
Oh, after that, the fence was messed up. It was like coming down or something, so I called the company, and they came out and they said that it looks like it had been tampered on the other side of on his side of the fence, and they had to reconstruct it. And they said they did that as a courtesy because it looked like someone had actually damaged the fence.
Here's you taking a picture of him.
Yes, with the pole.
Okay, what's happening there when you're taking a picture of him?
That's with the guys trying to plant the trees.
Oh, is that the
right
pole
there.
you were referring to?
Yes, the metal pole he had.
And what is he saying in that picture?
That we cannot put no trees right here. To stop doing what we're doing, we cannot put no trees.
Of course you can put trees.
Now, that's him on the tractor kicking up dirt. The kids was in the what's name. He don't have no grass. He just kicking up the dirt for no reason.
This is a fence you put in?
Yes.
So there's his fence and then your fence right next. Okay.
Yes.
And since this fence has been put in, has it been better? Because you don't see him?
I still see him. He would get on that boat. If there's a boat right there, he would get on that boat right there and take pictures over in the yard.
What's he taking pictures of?
Kids in the yard, me.
Is it because you two don't get along and he's filing complaints against you with the city, or is it because you think he's a sexual predator? I'm trying to understand.
I've been trying to understand that too, because that's him after the fence was put up, actually by the fence, but doing something by the fence, and that's on closer to my side.
When you say he's in front of the fence, is he on his property or your property?
Right there looks like he's on my property where the fence is.
What's going on, Mr. Hadley? Why do you two not get along? What's the deal?
Alrighty, Your Honor. It's nice to meet you. Everything she says and everything I went through with the restraining order, I categorically deny. Okay? I have evidence.
Were you taking pictures of her grandchildren?
No, absolutely not.
So when you move in there, were the two of you getting along?
Yes. I have a card from her because she asked me over to her house one time to do some her sink or something was stopped up. So she invited me over, and I graciously came over, and then she felt so appreciative about it that she sent me a card appreciating.
Saying thank you.
Saying thank you.
All right, so at the beginning, everything's fine. When does it go sour, do you think?
It's because I was trying to help her with her sewer issue because I felt maybe the reason why it wasn't getting done was because it's so expensive, and so because I own a tractor, and so I wrote her up an invoice that she could give to the owner, and I would help them fix it.
You have the know-how to help them fix it?
Yeah.
So it's a plumbing issue?
Plumbing issue, sewage, and they had raw sewage out on the ground. At first,
how did it affect you? Because I presume you could smell it.
I'm a very allergic person, and I had an accident 3 years prior where I got hit in the head on a tractor, and I got knocked off the tractor, and I went into the emergency and got taken care of for that. And they give me some dye, to go throughout my body. But like a year later, not even a year later, I contracted cancer.
Okay.
And I had a 3.5-inch tumor removed under my armpit. For the last 3 years, I've been deathly sick the whole time she's saying this is going on.
Okay, can I ask you this? You can smell the sewage issue.
Every day.
Right.
And I've given you pictures to where you could see the cesspool that I'm dealing with. Okay, and right outside my kitchen window for 2 years solid.
Is this a picture of the sewage issue we're talking about?
And that's 2 feet deep.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Now, I love my neighbors. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, and I do my best to get along with everybody. And I have no issues with her children other than the fact that they were constantly throwing things at our dogs. You know, kids can be kids, you know. And I've given you a video. That video there is one of her grandchildren acting all gangster in front of my house right after the restraining order. So they have tried to use that football to knock my camera out. And then they go out in the street, and you can see her grandson giving me the gangster sign like I'm going down. And this is like right after the
restraining order?
Restraining order.
Now, tell me about the restraining order, Ms. Russell. You went to court and asked for a restraining order based on the fact that?
Based on the fact that he had been harassing me and my children, and they were scared to come outside. They were scared to play in the yard. They'll get wet, or he would take photos. One incident, he literally called my dog in his yard where that opening is. My dog went over there. My granddaughter tried to call him back, Chloe back, and he was yelling at my granddaughter saying, "Leave him alone, leave her alone. I'm playing with her." And we had that incident. Then when he said something about calling the police because we had guns over there, that was a problem. And that was all around the same time with the pole incident with the workers in the backyard. And I just said, I've had enough. And then my daughter also told me. So you went
to court and there was a full-blown hearing, right?
Yes.
Your Honor, I never threatened anybody with a pole. I never told her once I had any guns, okay? And like when she's talking with the dog, it's like, we love her dog. My wife loves her dog. She's got a wonderful little dog called Chloe. I never prevented them from coming and getting their dog, okay? The fact of the matter is I never called animal control on her was because of all her cats. And she came to me on my side of the property, and she says, Charles, she says, please don't call animal control because Chloe does not have any license. And I sympathize with her because it's a really, it's an awesome dog, okay?
So she files a restraining order against you, and there's a hearing, right? And what happens?
Well, Your Honor, I've been dealing with cancer. First off, I'm being dragged into court at 8 o'clock in the morning when I'm sick with cancer treatment. Okay, so I'm not happy, okay? And the fact of the matter that I have showed extraordinarily amount of resolve in not reporting her for animal control and everything else. And I want to be a good neighbor. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, okay? And we do our best to get along with our neighbors, okay? And the fact that she's taking me into court for a restraining order for defamation of my character, for saying and trying to paint me out like some sort of pervert, taking pictures of her kids, okay? They're fat, they're lethargic. I would never, even if
I don't even know what that means because it sounds like you're saying that if they were slim and active,
I know that's what it sounds like, but I mean, I'm just saying, I have no desire, okay? I'm happily married, you know, and I have a family of my own. I have no desire.
Welcome back to the People's Court. I'm Harvey Levin. Can you imagine having an overflowing cesspool for years right in front of your house, and you just can't do anything about it because the town is ignoring you? Let's go back into the courtroom.
But the fact of the matter is that the harassment is coming from her side, but because I reported her to county over the sewage, I resisted.
When did you report her to the county over the sewage? When was it?
It was in January of this year.
And then when does she seek a restraining order against you?
It was March, I think.
So it was after you made the report to the city?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now, but what happens in court? The restraining order is actually granted.
What happened, I know, because reason it gets granted, I can't get along with the judge. She won't let me speak. She won't let me speak. Okay? And so I'm pissed off at her, okay, and she grants her everything she wants.
Hold on. In June of 2022, the plaintiff took me to court for a restraining order, but the court was filled with liberal nut jobs who took her side and wouldn't even let me speak. There was no basis to give the plaintiff a restraining order against me. All right. In any event, you're here today because you feel that he should have to pay you $5,000. Why?
Because of all the harassment.
And but you decided to put up a $10,000 fence?
I did.
Right.
For safety, I also put cameras.
No, but that's fine. And you're free and American. You can do whatever the heck you want. The issue is you've come to court to tell me, Judge, he has to pay half.
I believe it would be fair for him to pay half. Out of 20 years I lived in this neighborhood and it was open. I didn't have no cameras, I didn't have anything until this man started harassing. My grandkids don't want to come out and play. They
looked fine in the video. It doesn't look like they're cowering under a blanket or anything.
If you get yelled at, if you're getting yelled at and you're getting wet by water or either dust from him kicking up the tractor. I have a statement here of the fence company that said they had to come back out here and repair the fence as a courtesy because he did.
You have no evidence that he did that. You know that you have no evidence. But your lawsuit isn't for that. Your lawsuit is for $5,000 because you think he should have to pay half. So what happens is then I have to analyze, is there some legal obligation on his part to pay for half of a fence that's completely on your property, that you completely hired somebody to do, and that you decided you wanted up? I hear what you're saying. Well, but I wouldn't have had to do that if he wasn't annoying and I didn't hate him. But, or he was taking pictures of my property and my whatever it is that you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But I can't, in a court of law, say you have to pay for half of the fence unless there is something that requires him to pay for half of the fence. Like it's on the property line and you live in a jurisdiction where the town says each of you are responsible for maintaining the fence. And then that would only be if it was maintaining a fence, not creating a fence. So there is no law, there is no legal obligation on his part to pay for any part of this fence. And so you may feel that he is morally required to because, look at this, I had to get a restraining order, and you ended up getting the restraining order. But your remedy when someone is acting weird, in your opinion, or illegally, in your opinion, or harassing you, in your opinion, is to do exactly what you did, which is to get a restraining order. That's your remedy. But if you choose to do something else, such as, put up a $10,000 fence, that's on you. It's not on him. And there is no legal obligation on his part to help you pay for that. So my verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Thank you.
So the defendant prevails in this case of a war between neighbors, and he does not have to pay half the cost of her fence. He does not owe her $5,000. Let me ask you how you feel about the judge's decision.
I don't feel it's fair. I think it should be a cost to harassing people for no reason.
Well, you're entitled to your decision, but according to the judge, it just is not the case.
Okay.
And I'm sorry.
Okay.
So the defendant is Mr. Hadley, and he is on his way out of the courtroom. Mr. Hadley, I know you're elated. Obviously, you won the case. What are your thoughts right now?
Well, I just want to say I want to categorically reject any and everything she said, because I have been a good neighbor and I have exercised a lot of resistance in suing her myself. And
let me ask you, since she sued you and lost, do you think this is going to ease up a little bit, the problems between the two of you?
I doubt it on her side, because the harassment is coming from her and her family, not me.
Well, all we can say is good luck to you. I hope you can find some peace in your neighborhood. That's the one thing everybody wants. Good luck to you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
So it's kind of interesting, Doug. So I guess the plaintiff's theory is that because the defendant was taking all these pictures, that fence that was erected the cost should be split. That's just not the case. Here's the reality. Pictures now are just a form of everyday life. It's not really generally considered intrusive. Everybody's got a ring bell, a cell phone, whatever, where, pictures abound. So that does not justify splitting the cost of anything.
Is it hearsay when someone testifies about what happened as opposed to what was said? As in the case where the wedding reception was ruined because the food was lousy and served late?
No. You can always testify about what you observed, the things that were happening, your own experiences, what the food tasted like, and the like in a courtroom. In small claims court, the hearsay rule is
Or a little more
often more
relaxed
relaxed
because lawyers
for
aren't
both
there.
sides. There's no
Yeah.
lawyers there, and the judge will be able to separate the stuff that he or she shouldn't really consider versus
Right.
the stuff that he or she should consider. So,
Or so the judge says.
or so they say, right? It's funny, the hearsay rule has 20 through 24 exceptions.
Yeah, there's lots
so
of
it's a lot of
exceptions to the hearsay
exceptions
rule.
to it. Generally speaking, it's when you have an out-of-court statement by someone that you're going to repeat in the courtroom to prove the truth of that statement. That's
To prove the truth of,
Right.
what is asserted in the statement.
Right, but you don't have to worry about it too much in small claims. And the reality is, in any courtroom, it tends to turn out that the hearsay rule is whatever the judge says it is.